Good evening, all. A great evening to all our professional colleagues. And it gives me great pleasure to have you this evening on a program that is born out of passion of individuals. While a program was carried out early part of this year, and it's been packaged by the ICAN Highflyer Mentorship program, which centers around mentoring the younger generation and giving direction to things that we need to do. Truth be told, that for everyone that needs to grow in life, you must have someone who is giving you direction on things to do. And this evening, these young professionals have put together a mentorship program which focuses on 3 areas: entrepreneurship, technology, and career development. When you talk about entrepreneurship, they're looking at how to monetize the accounting knowledge and skills. About technology, you and I understand the dynamism that we are faced in the current world. And it is high time you have deeper understanding, having an edge, using the various accounting technology tools. And it comes to the career development, looking at how to manage and grow the accounting career optimally. This have been put together by young people I refer to as young people who are passionate about entrepreneurship. They have a good track record of activities that they have done in mentoring people. And the first on the list is Dr. Dec2022, who is a member of the governing council of our great institute, the chairman of the Young Accountant Network Committee, who months back put together a program where we have the second person that is, co-working with him to do this mentoring program. No other person than Mrs. Chioma Ifeanyi, who, after delivering a paper during the Young Accounting Network program, the people were yearning. It's good that we have people that will help us and do things the proper way that it should be. And it's on these notes they have put together this program so that they can teach our younger ones about the ethics of the profession, what integrity is all about, objectivity, independency, accuracy, as an entrepreneur, and keeps flying. And that's why you have them talking about high flyer mentorship. When you join them, they mentor you, you have the guarantee to fly very high. And on that note, without wasting time, I will be inviting my first paper presenter to start up our program for today. And she is no other person than Mrs. Chioma Ifeanyi, the one I popularly call Chiomapreneurship, because everything about her, it's entrepreneur. Talk about Chioma, it's entrepreneur. She wakes up, entrepreneur. She's eating, entrepreneur. She's dining or whining with anybody, it's entrepreneur. She's an embodiment of entrepreneurship. And this she has put together by making accounting very simple to everyone that cares to know what accounting is all about. Hosting over 3,000 to 4,000 of our professional colleagues and putting the right perspective to what accounting is all about. Someone like me engaged to assist in moderating this program. This evening, I cannot, because I'm yet to become an entrepreneur. I have just keyed into the mentorship program so that the likes of Dr. Deji and Chioma can put us in the right perspective to those things that we need to know. So this evening, I will be welcoming Mrs. Chioma Ifeanyi talk to us about entrepreneurship. Mrs. Choma Ifan Eze, I yield the floor to you as you guide us in mentoring the younger generation of the things that they need to you. Over to you, man.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okwade. Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to this mentoring session. It is such a pleasure. Always, always such a pleasure. I get a lot of emails and messages saying, when will you mentor fellow accountants? This is such an honorable time to share with you informally, right? Mentoring is about listening and sharing, and I hope that you absolutely enjoy this session. All right, I'll go ahead and share my screen. I have a few slides to go through with you. I'll go ahead and share now. So welcome to this ICAN Highflyers mentoring session. My name is Choma Ifani Eze, FCA, and my topic to share with you tonight is transitioning from an accountant to a digital accountant. You would remember that Mr. Okwade has said that ICAN Highflyers mentoring focuses on mentoring members of the Institute on 3 core areas: entrepreneurship, technology, and the accounting career. So tonight, my topic is picking from the technology part of our, of our vision to mentor fellow, members of the Institute. Welcome, 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 everyone. So I like to start by saying I am a digital accountant, and I built a thriving business using several technology tools and digital tools and skills, by the way. I am extremely passionate about helping my colleagues to accept technology and build businesses or build accounting career or build whatever it is you want to build using technology. I hope that tonight I will be able to transfer my passion for being a digital accountant to you, and you would leave this session, saying to yourself, I love technology. I am a digital accountant. I will change the way that I do things, right? That's what I hope that will happen tonight. Let's jump into it. So here's my topic: transitioning from an accountant to a digital accountant. Transitioning from an accountant to a digital accountant. It means that when I become an accountant, I am a normal accountant, an ordinary accountant. Then I need to transition to become a techie, a digital accountant. Why? Because I want to position for today's world. So let's change the topic to something more relatable. Let's call it transitioning from a normal accountant to a techie accountant who is better positioned for today's world. I'm sure that's more relatable. So there's a transition. A change is about to happen inside of you, right? You're about to move from being normal to being techie, to being digital, to being positioned for today. So I want you to remove every distraction, because this is life-changing. If someone is about to transform something in me, my life is about to change. This is extremely very practical. And guess what? There is no pedestrian knowledge here. This is not something you're walking on the road and someone stops you and say, hey, let me tell you how to transition. No, 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 no. This isn't pedestrian knowledge. You don't pick up this knowledge on the road, right? That's why you're in this mentoring session, to take the knowledge from here. Very life-changing, very practical. Take away the phones. If you are not watching this session on your phone, remove all the noise and have your writing materials ready to write, because you're about to go through a life-changing process. So let me ask you, who has heard of ChatGPT? Who's heard of it? It's a new artificial intelligence technology that was launched a few days ago. Has anyone heard about it? Let me look in the chat box. Please tell me, have you heard about ChatGPT? A new technology that was launched a few days ago. Who's heard about it? Who's heard about it? Who's heard about it? Tell me, tell me, tell me. I want to know the digital accountants I have. Who has heard about ChatGPT? Who's heard about it? A new artificial intelligence technology that you can ask any question and it would answer you in a few seconds. You can actually go there and say, how can I become a digital accountant? How can I write a business plan? Write me a this, that. What Christmas gift should I give my husband? It will answer absolutely any question. Some people say it's going to rival Google. I don't think so, because Google does a lot more. Yeah, I see we have a lot of digital accountants. Some people have heard about ChatGPT. Before I end this session, I'm going to take you in there and show you what it looks like. Now, that's a little piece of what it feels like to be a digital accountant. When technology is launched a few days ago, you already have used it and tested it. Someone wrote me an email this morning. He said he's made 50,000 from using ChatGPT. He used it to write for a client in 3 seconds, in 5 seconds, something he would have done in 3 days. Amazing. Our lives are changing. In 2023, we're going to be asking questions like, what is it I used to do that artificial intelligence can now do for me? Right? That's the kind of questions we'll be asking. So there is no better time to become a digital accountant than now. No better time. Welcome again. You're sitting here and you're saying to yourself, why should I even transition? Why am I even listening to Chioma? Hey, what's the essence? What's the essence of this transitioning from a normal accountant to a digital accountant? The answers are simple. You will absolutely be a misfit in today's world if you don't transition to a digital accountant. You will have no place. You will lose relevance. Your earnings will go down. The only way to go up with your earnings is that you transition to a digital accountant. You only earn when you give value. What the market calls value today is digital, is technology. So if you have to give value, you have to transition, right? Of course, you're going to use this transitioning to solve your problems. As an accountant, you want to grow in your career, you want to acquire customers or clients, you want to train your staff, you want to hold meetings, you want to store information, you want to collect information, you want to do your jobs faster and easier. All of these are going to be made possible if you transition. So there is no question of, should I transition? The answer is yes and only yes. You should transition from an ordinary accountant to become a digital accountant, an accountant who loves technology, an accountant who uses technology, right? That's what you're here to learn tonight. But I know the question in your mind, how? You are clear without an iota of doubt that you should transition. The question is, how? How can I transition from being a paper accountant? How can I leave the old ways I used to do things? How can I step into the newer ways of doing things with technology? How do I even learn all these technology tools that Gen Zs know? How can I become a techie accountant? These are the questions in your mind. Chioma is talking transition. Okay, I want to transition. Okay, how now? That's why we're here. So that's good news. We're here because I'm going to show you exactly how to transition, exactly how to stop being a paper accountant, exactly how to know the technology tools that Gen Zs know, exactly how to boldly say, I am a digital accountant. You know how I introduced myself at the start of this session? I know your heart skipped a bit. You're like, huh? Can I say that of myself? Can I say I'm a digital accountant? I want you to be able to say that at the end of this program, right? So I'm going to show you exactly how to make that transition. I have 5 simple steps to teach you to make that transition. The how to become a digital accountant. The first step, make a decision. Everything that you and I are starts from our mindsets. Everything we will be lives and starts from our mindsets. You need to decide this day, I want to become a digital accountant. I am not going to be called a paper accountant. I want to be called digital. Look at my workspace. I don't have a ton of papers anywhere. Why? Because I'm digital. Everything I do is paperless. It's on my computer. It's in the cloud. It's somewhere. Digital. There's another accountant, you walk into the office and paper packed everywhere. That's not who you want to be, right? You want to be the digital accountant. So you're going to develop some love for technology. You will tell yourself that you are teachable and you can learn. By the way, I forgot to make you a promise. At the end of this session, I have a very interesting case study for you. I'm going to show you how you can resume at an SME and digitalize things in 1 month. Like, I'm going to turn you into a Superman. 1 month, you will digitalize and transform things in any SME that you step into. Whether as an internal accountant or external accountant, we have that case study at the end of this. So don't even let anybody distract you. This is amazing, right? Okay, number 2, you're going to develop an inquisitive mind. You will start asking yourself, what technology tools did they use to bring me to this training? First of all, you filled a form. What was that form? You got emails. What tool was that? Now you are in this session. What tool is that? Did you see all the things that technology did? About 3 or 4 or even 5 tools came together to bring you here today. So you're going to start having that kind of mind. When somebody sends you a form, you look at it and say, what tool is this? How can I create this? How can I create my own of this? Somebody sends you an email. What is this? Somebody says, register here. What did they use in making this? That kind of inquisitive mind, right? And then you're going to be asking things like, what's this new tool that people are talking about? Someone on your Facebook timeline has written about ChatGPT in the last few days, but you just didn't read it. Why? Because you haven't developed an inquisitive mind. People have been talking, there's this new tool, it's going to displace Google, or it's going to make writers lose their job. You haven't stopped and said, what tool is that again? Where is the URL? How can I type it? Because you haven't developed that inquisitive mind. So when you develop that inquisitive mind, which by the way is today, because you're becoming a digital accountant today, right? After this session, you would have developed an inquisitive mind. So you would go out asking inquisitive questions that will lead you to latest trends in technology. Number 3, you are going to deliberately stop doing things the manual way. When you want to do something, you will stop a bit and say, wait, is there a techie way to do this thing? You go to a place, you want to give that front desk girl a book to record expenses. And you say, wait a minute, isn't there a techie way to record expenses? Can I at least search, even if it's a Google search, how to record expenses with an app? And then Google will show me something. And then that thing, I will click on it and read and find a techie way instead of the manual old way. You go to your church and they are giving out t-shirts to all the members in the youth choir. And you want to pull out a sheet of paper and ask people to write their name and their t-shirt sizes. And you say, wait a minute, is there a techie way to do this thing where I can just send out a URL and everybody will just fill it? I'll just paste the URL in the WhatsApp group of the youth choir and everybody will just click and fill their name and their phone number and their t-shirt sizes. Why do I have to write on this paper? I'm becoming a techie accountant. I'm changing my old ways. Wait a minute, isn't there a way? Then you can ask somebody, then you can do a Google search and you would find answers. So there has to be a deliberate effort to stop doing things the old manual way, right? A very deliberate effort to stop doing things the old manual way. And you will keep asking yourself, what is it that I am currently doing that a technology tool can make better? What am I doing now? I know a lady who had a session with me and she works somewhere in Anambra State and she is in this community where people apply for loans. So someone will fill a form and take the form and travel a distance to come and submit to apply for a loan. When I taught her how to become a digital accountant, how to question her manual ways, that was the first thing she questioned. Why does this woman have to spend 4,000 to travel from a village inside Anambra to come to me to submit this form, for me to process her a loan of 30K? It feels like she has spent 1/5 of the money she's looking for in the loan. Why don't you start questioning those things you used to do? What techie way can I use to replace this manual thing I am doing? Number 4, you will attain trainings and sessions like this, especially those that teach technology tools. You will deliberately look out for trainings, sessions, events, webinars, workshops that talk about techie tools. You want to become a digital accountant. It is not exactly a walk in the park. You're not going to walk by a bus stop and everything would fly into your head. There is no single training I will ask you to go and download everything in your brain and you become a digital accountant. No, it is a transitioning. There is a process to it. There is work to be done. And one of it is attending trainings where they will teach you technology tools. Let me show you an example. This is one of my trainings, and I teach people 26 tools that Google built that you can use for free in the workplace, right? Now, this is one of those trainings, and there are many others. You don't have to take mine. There are many trainings that people go to learn technology tools that would go ahead to change their lives. The last of the 5th point, and guess what? I'm rushing this because I want to take you practical. I want to make you feel these technology tools we're talking about. I want you to see how easy your transitioning is, how you can transition the very moment you hear about a technology tool, right? And the last of the 5 points I wanted to share with you is find social groups and people who talk about technology tools and latest trends. There are professionals like me, like Dr. Awobotu, and many more professionals. They may not even be accountants. There's a lady I love to follow. She's a business analyst. She used to work as a full-time accountant and then she transitioned. She's very techy. She uses all sorts of tools. I like to follow her for those things. So you can follow professionals and service providers who use a lot of tech to see how they are using it to grow their business and to do their work. I always say this: success leaves footprints. People who are successful, they leave footprints of what they did, how they did it. So if you follow them, you would find those footprints. I can have someone mentor me from afar. The person doesn't know me, I don't know you, I don't talk to you, but I can see the things you're doing. I can see the tools you're using. I can see how I came into your training and we used Zoom, or we used YouTube streaming, or we used Google Meet. I can go back and try to find that tool, sign up on that tool, and see how that tool works, right? Sometimes there's even a session to ask questions. I can ask you, please, how did you make this? How did you make these slides? How did you make this thing move? And some professionals will be glad to answer. That's your way of transitioning to becoming a digital accountant. Yes, our case study. You know, I have only 40 minutes with you. And I need you in these 40 minutes to go away being a digital accountant. So I'm maximizing my 40 minutes before Mr. Sheson stops me. So here's our case study. Let's read it together. How can I use free technology tools to improve an SME accounting within 1 month of resumption as an internal or external accountant, even without any interest or investment from the business owner? So let's take Damilare Sparkle Car Wash as an example. Damilare Sparkle Car Wash is a car wash business, right? The business owner's name is Damilare. I guess that's obvious, right? And you resume as his accountant, internal or external consultant, whichever, and you are a techie accountant. I want to show you how your game will be, how your game will be different from the game of a non-techie accountant in 1 month from when you resume. This is an amazing case study. I want you to go into the chat box and say, hey, yeah, I want this case study. Let's go. Tell me, I'm excited about this case study. I want to see people who are excited. If not, I'm not teaching this case study. I'm not sharing it. Let's go into the chat box and let's see if you're excited about this case study. Is it something you want me to discuss, or I should end here and let's just go away? Tell me, I'm waiting to see comments. I'm excited about this case study. I want this case study. I want to become a digital accountant. Can I see some comments coming in the chat box, please? Are there people who want to be digital accountants who are excited about this case study? I'm looking in the chat box and I want to see your comments coming. So let's see comments. Let's see. Yes, Eric Okoro wants it. Victoria, only 2 people want it. All right, Omoni wants it. Guys, let's go. Tell me. 232 people online. I want to see those who are excited about this case study. Tell me you want this case study. You want to learn technology tools. You want to live here absolutely transformed to becoming a digital accountant. Hey, Adetayo is begging. Say, please, oh. All right, I see your chat coming in, and I'm going to do this, guys. All right, I'm going to do this. Okay, I'll stop sharing my slides now, and I will head into, by the way, I'm going to show you the tools that I'm going to use. So maybe you can take screenshots or you can take notes. By the way, all the videos of the ICAN Highflyers mentoring, you can watch them as many times as possible. You may not need to ask for these slides because, hey, you have this video. Just click on the link that brought you here and you will always have access to it. So when I resume as a techie accountant in an SME, where the business owner does not even have interest in technology, or he's not even interested in investing any money in technology, here's what I'm going to do to change the accounting in 1 month, in my first 1 month. I will sign up on Google to even get the company a Gmail. So this is Damilare Car Wash. I can create damilarecarwash@gmail.com, right? That's simple enough. Then I can set up some spreadsheets to use it to collect data. So it's a car wash. Cars are coming in and getting washed. I want to know the name of customer, phone number, what service he did, amount, how he paid. I can quickly create a Google Sheet, and I will show you practically. A Google Sheet is like Excel in the cloud. Amazing, super amazing. Excel in the cloud. You can share with anyone. You and I can collaborate on it. I'm entering data, you're entering data. What I'm doing, you're seeing. What you are doing, I'm seeing it. Real time online. Number 3, I can automate their requisitions using Google Form. Again, we are going to see that happen tonight. So before I came as their accountant, they would wake up and just call, Oga, soap don't finish. And your guy is like, what is all this? Can't you tell me ahead? Who took the last bottle of soap that couldn't tell me? What if we automate the way that they request for things from the boss? Just fill a Google form. Once the inventory item is depleted, you just fill a form and submit, and the boss gets an email. Amazing technology. Then you can introduce monthly or weekly meetings with the boss. You are the accountant, internal or external. You want to tell the business owner how his business is going. You don't always have to come to the car wash. You can use Google Meet to have that meeting. Are you noticing that everything I have asked you to do are free Google tools that you can use to change the life of that business in as little as, did I say 1 month? 1 week, honestly. Let's look at more tools. You can then store minutes of the meeting. You know, when you now go for that meeting that you set up in number 4 here, you set up that meeting on Google Meet. You now attend that meeting with the business owner. You can actually type minutes of the meeting while in the meeting, and he's seeing it. You share it with him using Google Doc. Google Doc is in Google Drive. So all the minutes of the meetings are stored in the cloud. I am going to show you. By fire, by force, you are becoming a digital accountant tonight, right? You can save receipts. Maybe they buy soap, or they buy detergent, or they buy chemicals, or whatever it is the car wash needs. When they buy those things, they can take photographs of the receipts and save them on Google Photos. Then you have trained the staff who work at the car wash. Maybe you're an external accountant. You've trained them how to capture sales using Google Sheets. You've trained them how to make requisitions using Google Forms, you know. And then there are certain things you want them to do on certain days, certain tasks. You can use Google Tasks to monitor and remind them of certain tasks. Finally, you can use a simple software like Zoho Books, 2,000 something naira, very cheap, to post all their transactions and generate monthly management reports from anywhere in the world, because they are entering their sales and expenses on Google Sheets, which is feeding into the cloud, which you can see even if you live in America and the car wash is in Nigeria. And so you can take data from there, feed it into Zoho Books, which is an accounting software, and generate management reports from anywhere. Imagine you stepped into an SME. They didn't give you any big money. You didn't go to the business owner to say, sir, you need to pay this, pay that, nothing. But because you are very digital, you have gone through this transformation, you are able to do these things seamlessly. So let me take pictures of my screen, because we're going to leave the slides now and we are going to head into the web browsers where we can do these things practically. Remember, I promised to maximize all of my time. All right, I'll stop sharing. I'll head to my web browser and then I will share my screen again for our quick practical session to go through all the things we learned. I want to show you how easy it is for you to transition. Now on my screen, you can see Google landing page, right? Anybody can sign up for a Google account. Now I am logged in. Even if I'm not logged in, I can click here and say sign up, right? I can sign up for an account. You can go online and simply type sign up on Google and follow the link and create a Google account. Many of us have Gmail. If you have a Gmail, you already have a Google account. That's it. It's that simple. Create a Google account. That's it. You click on it and sign up. It would ask for a phone number. You put the phone number of the business owner, and then you complete the sign up process. He would get a code. You ask him for that code, you put it in, and that's it. It's really simple to sign up damilarecarwash@gmail.com. That's the first step, very simple. The next thing you want to do is create templates that they can use to track their sales and expenses. Now, if you look on my screen here, you can see my picture at the top right. Next to it, you can see 9 dots. You can see 9 dots. Click on those 9 dots and please go to Drive. Please go to Drive. Click on the 9 dots and go to Drive. When you get to Drive, click on New by the left here and click on Google Sheets. Google Sheets, it's opening. This is Excel in the cloud. No need to save anything you enter, it is saving in the cloud automatically. A super amazing tool. So I'm going to call it Damilare Car Wash Sales, right? That's the name of the sheet. I've named it. I can go ahead and put headings, maybe name of customer. Forgive my spelling. I'm trying to maximize my time. Maybe phone number. We try to collect customer details, right? Maybe services done, and then maybe amounts. Even from a phone, you can download Google Sheets as a mobile app and teach the guys or the staff who work at the car wash how to populate this. As they are populating it, look at my top right, you can see the share button. You click on the share button and put your own Gmail address. Your own Gmail address. When you put your own Gmail, the sheet automatically shares with you. Anything they are entering, you are receiving data real time. Guess what? All the cost of going to client site has gone down by 90% because you are getting data from them even without going. You are the digital accountant. You do things differently. Your life is different. You are separated from the crowd. That's what I'm teaching you to be, right? Let's continue. You've learned how to do Excel in the cloud using Google Sheets. The next thing you want to do is to create a requisition form for them using Google Form, right? You go back again here and click here. You know how we got here, I taught you. And here, Google Forms. You're gonna teach them how to request anything they need from the boss, anything that is running out, right? So we are going to call these Damilare Car Wash requisition sheets, requisition form, sorry. So what questions do I have on the requisition form? Name of who is requesting. Forgive the wrong spellings. The next question you hit on the button here, maybe item requested. Right? You can create a form in as little as 5 minutes. And then there is a way, I like you to do that, where you can click this button here at the top that is called an add-on. How can I connect an add-on and put the boss's email such that every time this form is filled, he gets an email? Very simple. I'm going to have you do that yourself. You're going to learn how to connect a form, a Google form, to an add-on that sends emails to the boss. Another interesting thing I want you to see about Google Forms, you can click on the responses here and connect the form to a spreadsheet. So every time the form is filled, the results are feeding into a spreadsheet. Oh my God, you are about to blow up this SME. Because you're a digital accountant, the kind of things you do when you walk into a business, they are wondering, where have you been all our lives? Why didn't you come since? This business is 8 years old. Why is it now you are coming? But it doesn't matter. It takes you only 1 week to transform their lives. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's good time, right? After that, you're going to start introducing meetings with the business owner. You say, hey, I'm your accountant. You engage me. I'd like to have monthly meetings with you to discuss the numbers. I will send you a link for the monthly meetings, right? You simply go online and type Google Meets. Google Meet. Look at it. Free video meetings. Zoom is $15. Google Meet is free. Are you kidding me? That's it. You're in the meeting with the man who owns the business. Costs you nothing to be in a meeting with him. Your team can join. His team can join. Hey, Google Meet does what Zoom does. You're in the meeting with him. You're the techie accountant. Let's go on. Let's go on. And we don't want Mr. Sheson to say my time is over. So let's finish our case study quickly. Now, the next thing is we want to take minutes of meeting during the meeting, and we want to use a tool called Google Doc. So I'm back here in my drive. By the way, the drive is 15 gig free given to you by Google. Can you see it here? Free 15 gig that Google gives everybody who signs up a Google account, and you didn't know, and you were wasting all that free cloud storage. With all the data I've been using Google Doc, look, you can even see I have documents since 2016. I've not even used 1 gig in my 15 gig. I'm still in 900 and something MB. So imagine, before I will fill up my 15 gig, it's massive data that Google is giving us for free, and we are not utilizing because we are not digital accountants. Okay, so here I am on Google Drive again. I can click the new button and create a Google Doc. So this is like Microsoft Word in the cloud, the Google version. And I can type my minutes of meeting here and write everything that happened in the meeting. Blah, 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 happened in the meeting. I can click the share button and share with the business owner so that he can read the minutes of meeting anytime. If I come for the next meeting, I continue it again on this document. So we have one document titled Damilari Car Wash Minutes of Meetings with Accountants. All our resolutions, everything we discussed, everything I told him, everything I advised him is documented here. He has a copy without me emailing anything back and forth. Amazing. No need to email anybody minutes of meeting. Just here, be typing it, the person is seeing. As long as you hit the share button, put the person's email and share with the person. You are the digital accountant, you do things differently. Head into the comment box and let me see you say that. I am the digital accountant, I do things differently. Can I see that? Can I see that? I am the digital accountant, I do things differently. Please let me see you saying that. I'm heading into the comment section to see the people who are digital accountants, the people who do things differently. Can I see you? Can I see you, please? Where are my digital accountants? I am a digital accountant. I do things differently. I haven't seen that comment coming in. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I am a digital accountant. I do things differently. I'm waiting to see that comment flowing in. I'm waiting to see my digital accountants. Let me see from my phone. I'm waiting. Where are my digital accountants who do things differently? Great. Fumilayo is here. Moses is here. Otone, Adebayo. Wow, mind blowing. I told you I was going to blow your mind. You are a digital accountant, you do things differently. Yes, you are a digital accountant, you do things differently. Amazing. I'm waiting for more comments to come in. I will stop this, my case study. Oh, good. I'm seeing my comments coming in. My digital accountants are in this room. They do things differently. They do things differently. They are separated from the crowd. They go into a business and they solve problems. My digital accountants are here. Amazing. Great. So let's conclude our session before my time is up. Great. I see my digital accountants. Great, great, great. All right. So I talked about Google Photos, Google Task. By the way, you can always just come and do a Google search about any Google tool I told you. Look, I'm searching for Google Task. Can you see Google Tasks come up? You can use it to create tasks for your staff. It will remind them. It will keep a track on the things they need to do. No need to be shouting on employees. I said you should just go on Google Task and create the task. When the guy does it, he will tick it. Otto, no need to talk too much. You are the digital accountant. If I needed to do 10 things, I go there and I create 10 tasks. When you do, you tick. When you do, you tick. Let technology be chasing them, not you. No need to be shouting. If you're still shouting in this age and time, you are not a digital accountant. Use Google Task to be chasing them around. Now, the last tool I want to show you is Zoho Books. Look at this. See how cheap. 2,700 Naira a month for an accounting software. Are you kidding me? You don't even need to tell the business owner to pay anything. Like, no need to talk to him. Even the highest bundle that is 8,700. And at the bottom here, you can see all the things he would do: bank reconciliation, invoicing, expense tracking, project, budgeting. If you want to do bills for vendors, suppliers, you go for the middle bundle, which is 5,007. Let me copy this link, right? And okay, I'm going to send you this link. But if you look at the link, it is zohoapps.com.ng/finance-inventory. Look how cheap an accounting software can be. Look how easy your work can be. You don't even need to prepare management reports on Excel and have the risk of losing it. Zoho is a cloud accounting software. Very easy to enter transactions. Click a button, it will generate your income statement, your balance sheet, all the ledgers, everything you need will come out at a click of a button. Receivables reports, payables reports, aged receivables, everything you need will jump out for 2,007 a month. So why again did you go to that business owner and was asking him for money to set up, and the guy was arguing whether he will pay or not? Because you are not a digital accountant. You didn't know the right technology tools to use. Tonight, I am happy to have taken off the scale from your eyes. My name is Chioma Ifanyeze. I am passionate about teaching accountants how to transform their lives to digital. Thank you so much.
A round of applause wherever you are for our own Chioma Ifanyeze, the lady I popularly call Chioma Preneurship. Chioma, what you have done this evening is that you've taken me to the streets, and what I learned is that follow person with no road. Hey, follow person with no road. And the next thing you see is that you are just up there. Thank you very much, Chioma, for this wonderful and fantastic mentoring skills that you have deposited in the heart of our people. Several people are not conversant with this. And I can tell you for free, somebody is thinking down there, I'm already on paid employment. I can do this as side hustle. So many informal sector looking for me, and you're just opening their heart at no cost to them. Thank you very much, Chioma. This is a very insightful session, and we appreciate you for this. Let me say to all our viewers that are connected, over 270 of them, that you will be a selfish person if you are not calling your friend to come and subscribe for this particular YouTube, ICAN Highflyer Mentoring. Like you said, a digital accountant needs us to be asking that, Chioma, please send me the slide. We don't need a slide. What do we need? Go to the YouTube, listen to it. When you are sleeping, you are listening because you have subscribed to the ICAN Highflyer Mentoring. And you'll listen in the morning, you go again during your break, you listen, you practice, and you make it. A digital accountant did not wait for someone to share slide. All he does is to make sure that he go back to the ICAN Highflyer Mentoring and tap from the experience of what Chioma Ifeanyi Eze has delivered this evening. Thank you very much, Chioma. At least I have something to take home as one of your fans to say, I'm a digital accountant doing things differently. And I promise you that you have opened my eyes to do personal business that I know you won't collect tithes, but I'll make sure that I make some returns to you when I start doing that. So don't let me waste so much of your time. We've had a session with Chioma Ifeanyi, and it's time to go to the second aspect of our mentoring program for today, the first episode of its type. And let me state here that this young accountant, these young people are vowed to make this a monthly affair between the hours of 8 and 10. If you miss any episode, it will be very good for you to go back and watch. But first thing you need to do now is subscribe to this YouTube account so that you can always be having the head up anytime the program is going to be happening. So the second program for today, it's going to be done by Dr. Deji Awobotu, and he will be talking on the role and expectation of the 21st century. Let me state here that there is going to be question and answer time that I'm going to take from the chat box. Whenever you want to do it, put the name to your question. My question goes for Chioma Preniochi, or it goes for Dr. Deji. Attach their name to it and push your question. Trust that I will definitely make sure that they get a question and they do justice to it, because you are talking to the digital mentor who do not do things, in a paper manner or in a paperless manner. So on this note, I want to welcome Dr. Deji Awobotu, who will be talking to us on the role and expectation of the 21st century CFO. As a chartered accountant, I know that that is the space where we all operate from, and we need to just get in tune. Chioma has spoken from the perspective of an entrepreneur, opening our eyes. You that you are in the paid employment, a CFO, account manager, receivable manager, officers of God, what are your role and the expectation, even in this digital world? And on that note, I yield the floor to Dr. Deji Awobotu, a member of the Governing Council of our great institute, who is also the chairman of the Young Accountant Network Committee of our institute, the chairman of ADRAC Consulting Services. Dr. Deji, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shesokwade. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Very well, proceed. Very well, proceed.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful session with Chioma. I think she has wowed us. For my session, I will actually be talking about, I'll be dealing with the career part of our mentorship program, and with the focus on the role and expectations of the 21st century CFO. Now, the main focus of this session is to let accountants know that their role and their responsibility has gone beyond debits and credits alone. All right, so I'm going to be sharing my slides because I know I have limited time. My screen, just a moment. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
And while Dr. DJ is trying to share his slide, permit me to tell our viewers who are listening and watching us that the chat box is open. If you have any question for Chioma, just type at the beginning, Chioma, or maybe the name that I gave to her, Chiomapreneurship. Because in the morning, afternoon, night, it's about entrepreneurship, so that we can have the question, handled by her when we get to the question and answer time. Dr. Deji, I have your slide on.
Oh, thank you very much. So our focus tonight is going to be on the role and expectations of the 21st century CFO. This is a mentorship program, which implies that a lot of my practical work experience is what I'll be sharing with the listeners tonight. I'm focusing on a few aspects of the topic, with details on preparing professional accountants for finance leadership. I'll be talking about how the CFO role is changing over time, principles guiding the role and expectation of a CFO, and recommendations for the accounting profession and employers of professional accountants. Now, at the point when you qualified as a chartered accountant, the next thing you want to do, you want to go into the career world. And getting into the career world, what do you want to do? You want to learn. You want to understudy some leaders. You want to do things that you've actually studied during the process of you qualifying as a chartered accountant. All those experiences you've gathered over those numbers of years, is it sufficient to make you rise in rank? Is it sufficient to make you move from being a professional accountant to the CFO? Now, this CFO, you need to understand that some organizations use different designation for it. Some organizations can refer to it as accountant, head finance, chief finance officers, group of chief finance, and the likes. But you should know that the concept of having the chief finance officer is taking you beyond having the role of bookkeeping to taking that lead.
Dr. Deji, are you there? There seems to be a little internet glitch from the side of our mentor this evening, Dr. Awubutu. Can you hear me? Okay. The internet has actually thrown him out, and I'm sure he will reestablish the connectivity and proceed. While we await him to reconnect and get back to us, like I said at the other side, or the other time, the question, we have a question and answer session, but I will encourage you to please bring in your question as we proceed in the program. While I try to reestablish connection with Dr. DG, like I said, please, let's have your question, and I'm sure Chioma is still there with me. We can start picking up maybe the question to fill in the gap. That's part of the things that you and I need to work on to contribute our own quota to the development of this country by having the right infrastructure in place, so that we'll make life more seamless, more stress, manageable in such a way that we can do it right. Chioma, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, while I wait for Dr. DG to reestablish his connectivity, I will want to keep our viewers waiting. I have a question from Charles. He's saying, Chioma, what tech tools are available to those in the role of internal audits?
Okay, what tech tools are available to those in the role of internal audit? So here's how I'll answer that question. You can use a tool that does something to satisfy your role. Let me give you an example. There's a tool called Process Streets. Process Streets, like the streets you live. Process, like a process of doing things. It's a checklist tool. Now, in internal audits, you want to check that certain things are, that you want to keep rules and regulations in an organization. You want to check that certain things are done in a particular way. You can use a checklist tool to build checklists that make people tick off things and put in comments and review notes such that they follow a process to do certain things, right? So you can use Process Street to create a way of monitoring certain processes. It may not be called an internal audit tool, but you can use it to satisfy your, what you wanted to achieve. So what I realized about technology tools is the people who build tools just create different software. It is you that knows what you want to achieve. You can make a software achieve it. I can use a form in my church for people to request for shirts. I can use the same form in a business for requisition of petty cash expenses. I can use the same form for requisition of motor vehicle spare parts. I can use it for different things, right? So that's why I gave you an example with Process Street. So if you know what you want a tool to be able to do, you simply do a Google search of that activity. I want a checklist tool. I want a tool that will remind people of tasks. I want a tool that can do this. And then that tool will come up, and then you design it in a way it will fulfill the objective you want. I hope I answered your question.
Brilliant. And I'm sure Charles has picked up that particular tip from my mentor, Chioma Preneurship. Let me put it that way. Robert is asking a question and directed to you, Chioma.
Okay.
He's asking, how secure is a company's critical financial information on Google Drive? Is it not vulnerable and exposed to hackers?
Yes, so if you think it is vulnerable and exposed to hackers, why don't you go to the more expensive one, which is Microsoft? Microsoft has OneDrive, which is paid for, right? So if you feel that Google is cheap, I've never had my information lost on Google Drive. But if you feel, look, I didn't pay for this, I want something more secure, why don't you go to Microsoft OneDrive? By the way, Google Drive also has a paid version for organizations. And I'm sure you know Google is not a company that is not a strong brand. So you can have the paid version of Google for your company where everybody in your organization uses an email on G Drive, right? And it's paid for and it's secured. So if you don't want to use the free, simple one, you can honestly upgrade to the paid one. The case study was to show you that even in the midst of nothingness, in the midst of no investment from the business owner, no investment from you apart from your digital skills, you can still display, your digital skills as a digital accountant. But of course, all of these things have paid and versions that you can use to give you the comfort that you want in terms of security.
That is brilliant, Doctor. I'm almost tempted to say Dr. Chioma when you're a doctor, because I know one of my mentor too, Mr. Taiwo Yedele. I will not refer to him as a Mr. I always call him Prof because of the weather. So if I call you a doctor, I think I'm not missing the track. I think Dr. Deji is back. Dr.
Yes.
Deji, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we lost you to internet connectivity. You can go ahead, share your screen.
All right.
And proceed.
Thank you very much. So can you see my screen now? So sorry about that. I think it was internet connectivity.
Yeah, I just mentioned to our mentees that this is why we must follow those that know the road. so that we can contribute our own quota in making sure that we have the right infrastructure to make life more seamless. You proceed, we have your slide.
All right, thank you. So as part of the content we're going to be discussing, we're preparing professional accountants for finance leadership. And the focus on that is going to be looking at some ethical standards we're expected to maintain as chartered accountants. A professional CFO should, number one, be an effective organizational leader and a key member of senior management. I'm going to talk about this later. Two, balance the responsibility of stewardship with business partnership. Act as the integrator and navigator for the organization. Be an effective leader of the finance and accounting function and bring professional qualities to the role and the organization. All right. Because this is a mentorship program, you're going to be learning from the wealth of experiences of the speakers that will be speaking to you at this program. Preparing professional accountant for finance and finance leadership. The principles that we mentioned above capture the key requirements of the CFO role and highlight what professional accountants need to do to prepare for finance leadership, as well as the benefits of a professional accountant serving as the CFO. As part of good governance, organizations should place the responsibility of sound and ethical financial management and reporting. Now, there's two keywords here: ethical financial management and reporting. You have a role as a CFO to ensure that the financial statement is prepared and presented, and it shows in an ethical manner the content of that financial statement, which implies that creative accounting will not be encouraged, will not be appreciated when you present your financial report. And more broadly, the efficient and productive use of resources under the oversight of a person with the necessary skills, qualities, and professional standards. Now, the skills, qualities, and professional standards you would have gathered during the period of your learning to being a chartered accountant. The training, the expertise, and the experience professional accountants bring to the CFO role should be seen as an advantage, specifically in terms of uniting an ethical and technical mindset together with business acumen. Now, we need to understand that the role that we refer to as the Chief Finance Officer, the CFO role, is being competed for. Now, we have professional accountants vying for that role. We have other professionals also vying for the role of CFOs. So it is not an exclusive position for chartered accountants. It is not. So it is now important to stress that the chartered accountant can do far, far better as the Chief Finance Officer than any other professional that is vying for that same position. It is also relevant to the regulatory community that is striving for well-governed organization and market integrity. As far as Nigeria is concerned, that part of regulatory management has been dealt with, because in most of the significant public interest entities, it has been made so clear that whoever will fill the role of the CFO must be a member of ICAN or ANAN. So that has been taken care of in our regulatory framework in Nigeria. But we need to also know that it is not all organizations that have that mandate to fill in a chartered accountant as their CFO. Unlike the role of auditors and assurance professionals, which is typically subject to oversight and registration, qualification, competency, and licensing, finance leadership in organization is largely unregulated, except we have mentioned earlier that the Financial Reporting Council have come into that sphere to ensure that for you to fill in that role as a CFO, you must be a member of ICAN or ANAN. All right. The increasing expectation of CFOs and finance and accounting functions also extends to government and public sector organizations, where there is a clear need for enhanced finance leadership and public finance management to improve the quality of public sector transparency, accountability, and outcomes. In the public sector, we have the CFO having a synonymous position called the Director, Finance and Admin. They refer to them as DFA. Now, in the same vein, you're also expected to have the requisite professional accounting experience and skill to be able to fill that position. Now, we'll talk about professional accountants in business. Now, there are two major types of professional accountants in business and professional accountants in practice. Professional accountants in business refer to all those members of the institute who work in commerce, industry, financial services, education, and the public and not-for-profit sectors. And those professional accountants in business work as employees, some work as consultants, some as self-employed, owner managers, or advisors, and they support the organization in a wide range of job functions at various levels. Now, if you take out yourself as a professional accountant working in business, there are 4 basic roles or responsibilities you are expected to carry out. Is that you're a value creator? And being value creator will mean that you develop strategies for sustainable value creation. You are value enablers. You are supporting the governing body and senior management in making decisions and facilitating understanding of performance of organizations, functions, or units. Or you are value preservers, assets and liability management, managing risk in relation to setting and achieving organizations' objectives. Now, I need to talk about this a little. Assets and liability management, but during the period when you're writing ICAN, there is this topic we call working capital management. The skill to be value preservers you can get from that topic. So you need to build your competency in that regard to be able to be considered as value preservers within the organization. Reporting value, ensuring relevant and useful internal and external business reporting. And that's the major thing I mentioned earlier. You must have that competency to prepare and present financial statements. And when you're preparing financial statement, all the components of the financial statement must be involved. The statement of financial position, the statement of financial performance if you're in the public sector, or the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income. The statement of value added must also come in. Statement of cash flow must also come in. Statement of changes in equity must also come in. So all this must be put together when you're presenting a detailed financial statement. How the CFO role is changing over time. Before now, we are just number crunchers, right? Now, in the 21st century, what are the other expectations of you as a CFO? The past few decades have witnessed significant growth in demands on an expectation of finance leaders, particularly as they have become central to helping their organizations navigate an increasingly complex business world. Prior to the 90s, the main emphasis of the CFO's role was typically as the guardian of financial health of an organization, overseeing and implementing adequate financial control infrastructure. That initially was our main focus. But now, a good CFO should be at the elbow of the CEO. As we have the chief executive officer, we should also have the CFO right by his side, because most of the decisions the CEO will be taking will have financial implications. And that's why the CFO needs to play a major role in that position. Ready to support and challenge him or her in leading the business. You know, there are instances when the CEO will want to execute a particular policy or a strategy. Now, because of your experience as a professional accountant in the CFO role, you will rise up to that occasion to tell him that, well, some of these decisions you want to take are not proper and not right. I'm going to give you an experience. Now, I worked for an investment bank many years ago, and the group company had this subsidiary that they have been financing over the years. So when the parent entity financed the activities of the subsidiary, they create a form of receivables in the books of the parent, and by extension, it creates a form of liabilities in the book of the subsidiary. Now, the subsidiary needed to increase its capital base. And how would they increase that capital base? They need to increase by bringing in fresh capital into the business. The parent company is not ready to bring in additional capital. And the next thing the CEO concluded was, the amount you have as your liability convert it to share capital. So rather than paying us back, you should use that liability as shares to increase our holding in that subsidiary business. I was called into the picture and I told them clearly, if you're going to increase your capital, you cannot use a liability or a cost that you have already incurred to capitalize such obligations in your financial statement. You can't do that. You have to bring in new capital into the business for the regulatory agencies to approve your increase in capitalization. So as a CFO that knows its onions, you need to be able to speak to power. You need to be able to speak to the CEO. You need to be able to speak to the board to let them know the implications of the negative actions they intend to take. The CFO should, above all, be a good communicator to the board on the performance of the business and to his or her peers in getting across key information and concept to facilitate discussion and decision making, and to subordinates so that they are both efficient and motivated. Other priorities for a CFO are to have strength of character, personality, and intellect. I take it as a given that in reaching such a position, that individual, that CFO, would have the requisite technical knowledge and financial skills. So what we are discussing today, we have gone past the stage of technical knowledge because we believe that as a chartered accountant, that knowledge you would already have built during the period of you writing ICAN. So when you have that technical skill, it is the application of that technical skill in your workplace that you need to bring other virtues, other values on to excel as an effective CFO. CFO's responsibility typically include demonstrating ethical leadership and business integrity. This is the wire of the role of a CFO, to maintain a high ethical standard and to have a high standard level of integrity. You know, many years ago, I had this colleague that committed fraud in the business, a very good friend. And because of the controls you also need to put in place to ensure that frauds are prevented at every point in time, that fraud was detected. Now, there are two options. Is either you call the guy and that fraud that has been committed, you compromise, or you report to the required authority. What will you do at that point in time? We're talking about someone who is very close to you. If you're going to maintain ethical and a high standard of integrity, you will not compromise, because the moment you compromise in little aspects of the job, then you will think that compromising is a way of life, and that automatically will make you to lose the value as the CFO. Balancing short-term concerns and pressures such as managing cash, liquidity, and profitability, and long-term vision and sustainable organizational success is another responsibility. Chesoka, please, can you confirm? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, Dr. Dec.
All right, so I believe the other delegates are listening. Now, fulfilling stewardship responsibilities by ensuring effective compliance and control and responding to ever-increasing regulatory developments, including financial reporting, capital requirements, and corporate responsibility, are part of the responsibilities and the role that you need to carry out as a CFO. Sharing strategic leadership responsibility with the CEO is also a major role that you need to also consider. And that's why when the Financial Reporting Council made an attestation requirement for organization, the key responsibility was for the CEO and the CFO to attest to the financial statements at the end of every financial year. So the CEO has a major role. The CFO also has similar responsibility for attestation. Driving and managing change and innovation is another responsibility for the CFO. Engaging and communicating effectively with colleagues, investors, customers, suppliers, regulators, and other internal and external stakeholders. You know, there was a time when we were writing ICAN, and the focus was on the technical financial reporting part. Communication skill was not a major cause or subject at that point in time. And you just realize that most of the chartered accountants you are having out there, they are good technically, but when it comes to communication, it creates a big problem. I think I can notice that, and they have to come back to the drawing board to include communication skill, management information system into the syllabus of ICAN, so that when you are qualifying as a chartered accountant, you are also qualifying with good communication skill. The contemporary CFO is increasingly focused on being a key organizational leader and communicator, which requires a strong professional and ethical foundation. The word is coming back again, ethical foundation. You must have a very strong ethical standard to excel as a CFO. Given the professional education and training, the relevant career experience and aptitude, professional accountants in the CFO role should be well placed to manage the requirements of varied expectations and responsibility. Is there a typical CFO role? The answer is yes. The expectation of CFOs change over time and are influenced by various external and internal drivers. For the external drivers, it includes prevailing economic and business challenges, characteristics of the industry and the competitors, and the demands of investors and key stakeholders are some of the external drivers that influence the role and the responsibility of the CFO. Organizations shape the CFO role to meet current needs and expectations, particularly in terms of the expectations the CEO and the chair, what do I mean by the chair? The chairman of the board have of the CFO. You know, I had a contact with the chairman of a board, a very renowned personality in the industry. And as the CFO of the organization, at that point in time, I presented the financial statement to the board. And the first thing the chairman of the board did was to review the expenses. He went straight to the notes. And the first thing he saw there was fines and penalties. And you know what he told me? He said, Mr. Accountant. I said, yes, sir. He said, these fines and penalties, throughout my life as the managing director of First Bank, I've never paid fines or incur penalties for a day. So as a result, that fines and penalties, you need to take it out of the financial statement. The implication of that is that you have to confirm how the fines was incurred, the individuals that made the organizations to be fined, and that departments will automatically share that fines and penalty. And how did the fines and penalty arose? Because the operations department did not send in the relevant information needed to file a relevant report to Securities and Exchange Commission and the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So as a result, the organization was fined during that period. The moment the chairman of the board made reference to that, we put it out of the financial statement and we charge it straight to that department. And that was what led to a stop of filing returns late, either to the Federal Inland Revenue Service or to the Securities and Exchange Commission or to the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So you need to be able to relate with the CEO, relate to the members of the board effectively, and ensure that the actions taken are in the best interest of the organization. The type of organization, whether it is in the public or private sector, and its history and culture will also influence the type of CFO required. Organization size is also a crucial determining factor in the type of CFO employed. All right, if you have a very small organization and you want to employ a 10 years experience chartered accountant, the question is, can your budget carry the remuneration package of a 10 years experienced CFO? The size of the organization will go a long way in determining the CFO you want to engage. Small businesses generally need to consider appropriate time to hire a CFO. An important internal tipping point is when information needed to help the business make timely and important decision is not being prepared. Right? Now, still on the CFO role, professional accountant with strong commercial and leadership skills help develop areas such as customer profitability, pricing, sales, and marketing. In a small organization, professional accountants are often the only professionally qualified members of staff and will need to assume that role of trusted advisor of the entrepreneur. So as a CFO, if you work in, if as a professional chartered accountant, if you work in a small organization, there are so many other responsibilities in addition to financial reporting that you're going to take on because of the skill set that you have developed over the year. For larger organizations, 4 distinct profiles of the CFO role have been identified. 1, the finance expert, the generalist, the performance leader, and the growth champion are the main classification for the CFO. The type of CFO could also vary depending on whether the role is at the corporate center or in a division or in a business unit or within a business line such as operations or sales. So we have chartered accountants operating in different units, different departments, different branch of the organization. So with you having the knowledge of finance, then you can operate in so many departments. But most especially, the role of the CFO is what will call for, and which will be a role that you will certainly excel because of your years of experience and the technical skills and ability that you've built over time. Now, the principles guiding the role and expectation of a CFO, there are basically 5 principles outlined here. The first is that the CFO should be an effective organizational leader and a key member of senior management. I mentioned that earlier. As an effective leader and key member of the senior management, the CFO needs to facilitate the delivery of sustainable value creation and preservation. As a senior manager, the CFO's primary responsibility is to provide shared leadership and vision to the organization, its employees, and other key stakeholders, although this should not be misconstrued as assuming the role of the CEO. The CEO has his role. You are meant to be a major support for the chief executive officer of the organization. CFOs need to develop effective partnerships with other members of the leadership team, creating a common vision and a view of organizational performance and challenges and opportunities. You know, I was in an ESCO meeting some years back, and the organization intends to invest in a project. Now, when you're investing in a project, you have to consider the source of funding that project. So the option that we had before us was, should we finance this project using a debt, or should we finance by issuing additional shares? So we have a mix, or should we finance using a mix of debts and equity? Now, a question was dropped on the floor at the ESCO meeting, can we know our cost of capital? And the individual that was acting as the treasury manager at that time said, the cost of capital of the company is 18% because we have a loan from a bank and the bank was charging us 18%. Now, hearing that from the treasury manager gave me a bit, made me to be worried. How? If the company has both equity and debt in its capital structure, your cost of capital cannot just be the cost of debt. It has to be the weighted average cost of capital, which is the cost of equity vis-a-vis the weight of equity to the total value of the company, the cost of debt vis-a-vis the weight of the value of debt to the total value of the company. So all these computations are things that should have been learned when you're preparing for ICAN on the cost of capital. So WACC is a major topic that will aid you as a major tool if you're filling in the role of a CFO. CFOs may also take on oversight responsibility for other organizations' functions and aspects, such as infrastructural management, IT, human resources, and payroll, operational responsibilities, and administration. This is often the case in small and medium-sized organizations where CFOs frequently need to fulfill various roles and responsibilities. All right, so that's the first principle. And what was that? The CFO should be an effective organizational leader and a key member of senior management. The second principle to guide the role and expectation of the CFO is that the CFO should balance the responsibilities of stewardship with those of business partnership. The CFO role requires an appreciation of the importance of the dual aspects of conformance and performance. Conformance in terms of compliance with regulatory requirements, all right? And when I have it as conformance, conformance includes providing stewardship of organizational assets and ensuring that the organization conducts itself in accordance with relevant legal and regulatory requirements. Now, the rule is, as a CEO, as a CFO, you must belong to a professional body for your financial statement to be signed. You need to comply with that regulatory requirement. All right. If you're an external auditor, when you audit a financial statement and the need for that auditor financial statement to be qualified, you are expected to notify the Financial Reporting Council of the reasons why the financial statement was qualified. That is a regulatory requirement and you must comply. So in whatever role you play as a CFO, compliance and conformity with stipulated legal requirements, regulatory requirements must be a major thing you must comply with. Performance includes helping the organization develop strategy, obtain resources, and deliver its strategic objectives sustainably. These different and distinct facets of the CFO's role need to be undertaken with integrity and without compromising one another. When you carry out your role as a CFO, you must do it with utmost integrity. Even if it will take you losing your job the next moment, I think holding on to your integrity is extremely key. I had that experience many years back. You know, when you buy shares for clients as a broking firm, possibility is there to manipulate that share price. If you bought the shares at 10 naira per unit, for instance, you can go to the system, change the price from 10 to 12, so which implies that you would have made a spread of 2 naira on every unit. Some organizations were doing it at that time, and CFOs are aware, and because it is a tone from the top, they keyed into it. What have you done? You've compromised. Now, the question is, if you decide not to go with the popular demand within the organization, you're not doing that because you're scared that you're going to be fired. And that's the reason why most CFOs that we have decide to keep mute rather than speaking out because they want to sustain their job. They continue to compromise. When you continue to compromise as such, you will lose your ethical standard, you will lose your integrity, and at the end of the day, you think compromising is the order of the day. So when you see someone else committing fraud in another organization, you just try to flow with that because that is the norm that you think exists. My advice to CFOs generally is hold on to that ethical standard, high level of integrity. Compromising should not be an option for you at all. The CFO has an executive support to the board of directors in the provision of financial and non-financial information, both historical and forward-looking, to support the board's decision-making. The CFO has support to CEOs. For example, it is usual to see both the CEO and CFO presenting the organizational results to investors and other stakeholders. And 3, the CFO as an active participant in the organization's investor and stakeholders relations engagement strategy. So you have major roles to play as a CFO. The second principle is, again, is the CFO should balance the responsibilities of stewardship with those of business partnership. And when you're doing this, you do it with high level of integrity. The third principle is that the CFO should act as the integrator and navigator for the organization. With the broad perspective of the organization and the environment in which it operates, CFOs need to help the organization navigate through the processes and challenges of strategy development, management, and execution. As integrators and navigators, CFOs should facilitate the sustainable creation of value by helping to ensure that their organizations incorporate or integrate economic, environment, and social factors at all levels of decision-making and reporting. I'll go over that again. Incorporate or integrate economic, environmental, and social factors at all levels of decision-making and reporting. To perform effectively as integrators and navigators, CFOs need to be positioned centrally alongside the CEO in the strategic management of the organization. This involves being able to facilitate a common and unifying perspective of an organization's strategic objectives, opportunities and threats, business model and critical success factors, including resources, capabilities, and competencies needed to deliver the strategy in relation to changing circumstances and environmental factors and trends. Now, I want to stress a little bit here the aspect that has to do with capabilities and competencies. Now, when you are engaged as the CFO, it is believed that you are competent. That was why you took or you accepted that job. Now, instances where you need to build capacities or abilities to operate or to function well in that particular role, you need to make it clear that training, sharing of experience of other experienced professionals are areas that you want to use to build your capacity. You know, I worked for an organization many years ago, and I was employed as the head of corporate finance. Within 2-3 months of my engagement, the CEO transferred me to the finance department to head the finance desk. Now, acting as the CFO of a stockbroking firm, at that time, I never had that experience. All my experience had been in consulting, training, and the likes. But now that you are to act as the CFO of a stockbroking firm, what experience are you bringing on board? None in that particular field. And when I told the MD, well, in terms of capacity, I do not have the capacity to function here. He said, well, you learn on the job. So what I did was to tell the staff members already in the finance department to continue what they're doing while I understudied them. Because of my experience and my exposure in consulting, I was able to pick the lapses in the operations. So within 2-3 months of reviewing their operations, I was able to grasp a whole lot of their operations from start to finish. So if you take on those responsibilities without understudying, then you will not perform well. You will not give the best to the job. You'll just be doing trial and error. And at that point, you may not be able to give what is expected of you. So the CFO should act as the integrator and the navigator for the organization. I know my time is fast moving. The fourth principle, the CFO should be an effective leader of the finance and admin function. The CFO needs to lead an efficient and effective F&A function, guiding the organization to effectively use resources at the same time as delivering value to its customers. The CFO should be able to assess and optimize the benefits and manage the challenges arising from trends such as centralization, outsourcing, and offshoring of the F&A function, while ensuring that financial talent and capability is retained and groomed within the organization. Providing leadership to the F&A function involves developing and implementing a vision on what it should look like in terms of structure and service delivery, and how it can meet the needs and expectation of the organization. A vision and service delivery model typically involves managing the cost base, cost reduction, at the same time as sustaining growth strategies by providing business insights to support decision-making. CFOs are expected to ensure the F&A function delivers proactive business partnering and serves as a role model for other functions in the areas of transparency, quality, Say the word again, ethics and innovation. So you cannot function as the CFO if you lack integrity. You cannot function as a CFO of repute if you lack high ethical standard, because that is what we preach. That is what you stand for. If that issue of ethics and integrity, you are found wanting there, the reason why the Financial Reporting Council require that the CFO should be a member of ICAN or ANAN is so that they can make reference or they can revert to your professional body for any unethical behavior of any CFO. So it is important that you don't compromise when you are on that role of the Chief Finance Officer. A vision and service delivery model typically involves managing a cost base at the same time as sustaining growth strategies by providing business insight to support decision making. CFOs are expected to ensure the F&A function delivers proactive business partnering and serves as a role model for other functions in the areas of transparency, quality, ethics, and innovation. And finally, the fifth principle that you should keep in mind is that a CFO should be a professional and bring professional qualities to the role and the organization. You should be a core professional, and you should also bring professionalism to the role that you are holding. CFOs should bring professional qualities to their role and encourage ethical behavior. Encourage ethical behavior. So for you to encourage ethical behavior, you must on your own also act ethically. And decision-making throughout an organization to ensure sustainable value creation. In performing a CFO role, professional accountants are anchored by their fundamental principles of integrity, objectivity, professional competence, and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. These are the features, these are the values that we portray as members of the Institute. Strong ethical leadership and good governance are prerequisites for sustainable value creation and require organizations to go beyond compliance with laws and regulations, to go beyond compliance with laws and regulations. Organizations that do not act ethically eventually lose their license to operate, with the resulting failure likely to have an impact on a variety of stakeholders. If you don't act ethically and you have a license of operations, the regulatory agency can clamp down on that license. And the implication of that is that it's not just your organization that will suffer for it. There are a lot of others that will also have impact of your actions. I know my time is running out, but in the jiffy, I will wrap up. Now, I just have a few recommendations that we need to make to accountancy body and the employers. All right. Can you minimize this? Let's see. All right. Now, for professional accountancy organizations, what role do they need to play? What recommendation are we going to make to them? They need to identify and address any significant gaps between the skills organizations expect of their CFOs and the finance leaders and the qualification and professional development of accountants. So meaning that as far as ICAN is concerned now, they need to ensure that the content of their syllabus is in tune with the expectations of the employers out there. Proactively engage with employers and business communities. That should be a regular thing that professional accountancy organization should embark upon. I think ICAN should be able to do that effectively. Ensure that the scope of qualification and training professional accountants incorporate broader professional and interpersonal capabilities and skills, which will need to be further developed and refined throughout their career. Foster and encourage a commitment to lifelong learning among professional accountants, although it is the responsibility of the professional accountant to develop and maintain professional competence through the continued professional development like the ICAN MCPDs. PAOs can facilitate access to CPD opportunity, which ICAN is doing. Engage more effectively with professional accountants in business. An increasing number of PAOs provide specific target support structures and services to help their preparation for senior finance leadership positions. And finally, for employers, what do they need to do? Our recommendation is that they should develop closer relationship with the PAOs to ensure that investments in training and development go beyond developing technical skills, particularly for prospective finance leaders. Development needs should cover the acquisition of leadership and analytical skills and the behavioral competence and cultural mindset required to be successful outside of a specific job or role, which implies that in building the capacity of the CFO, you should not just focus on the technical skills alone, you should also focus on the aspect of the soft skill to develop the interpersonal skills of the CFO. And finally, where visible, provide job rotation and placement around various parts of organization to help provide professional accountants with wider business understanding and further develop their business acumen. All right, these are the recommendations for the accountancy profession and for employers. Thank you very much for listening. Chesson, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Deji Awobotu, FCA, a member of the Governing Council of our great institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. It's been a very wonderful time this evening. We've had a talk from the technology aspect that has endeared us to do more. And here we're talking about career development, even for the CFO, talking about the role and expectation of the 21st century CFO. I am very sure that we've all gained one or two things. And if indeed you've done that, I want you to go to the chat box and just give kudos, thumb up, thank you, appreciation to our paper presenter, our mentors this evening who have come to do justice to this. I look at the chat box to know if I am having a response from our people. Yeah, Elizabeth James, thank you. Samuel Adewale, thank you, and the rest. One of the things we try to do is to adhere strictly to time. And like we have in the flyers, we are between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. And I'll quickly take this question. Choma, I'll address this to you. It's addressed to you. Are you there, Choma?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I'm going to digitalize the question by consolidating the question in such a way for you to have it. As a digital accountant, I'll plug them in, and I'm sure you will untwine and unwind them for our members and our viewers as well. Atinuke just asked the question, asking that if you organize practical class on tech tools, that leads to award of certificates. I'm sure you heard that. He's asking, when do you do that? If you do, and what is the cost? I'll pick Victoria question asking, and I think I'll consolidate that with that of Kabiru, asking of tech tool that they need to use for audit of clients maintaining incomplete record, and that of reconciliation to fetch old transaction. And I think finally, Salifu is asking question on the zone to manage and control private school business. I'm sure you can do justice to this in the next 5-7 minutes.
Okay, I think that the Zoho that I have shown them is able to manage a school. You can go in and sign up on it, make invoices, which are bills that are sent to parents, make post expenses, enter petty cash. Whatever it is a school does, it's able to do it, to handle it, and it can produce management reports monthly. So that works for a school. Someone else is asking, excuse me, whether I have any paid trainings where they can learn to use technology tools. I have just a program that is called the Data Entry Academy, where I teach absolutely anyone, it doesn't have to be an accountant, a ton of different technology tools that they can use for the workplace. So the poster I showed where they were going to learn 26 Google tools is part of the Data Entry Academy. You can simply do a search on Google, just type Accounting Hub, Data Entry Academy. It would lead you to the page where people enroll for that program of mine. There was another question asking about what tool you can use for, I think, audits. I think I have answered.
Yeah, audit of clients maintaining incomplete record.
Audit of clients maintaining incomplete record. What I think the person wants to do is to do the bookkeeping of that client. You want to post the transactions, the few transactions you can find from bank statements or wherever, capture those transactions and generate the financials, which again, I'm taking you back to using, I showed you Zoho Books, you can use Sage, you can use QuickBooks, you can use Xero. It's just that these other ones are more expensive paid accounting tools, but you can use absolutely any one of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chioma, for the responses to the questions raised by participants who I can refer to as our mentee this evening. And I think I can now put the name to the face. I'm sure that is Dr. DG I'm saying. For those who have been hearing the voice and seeing the presentation, now you can put the face to the name, and that's Honorable Deji Awobotu FCA. And I have a few questions for you. I'm going to digitalize it also by consolidating so that you will group the response and give it to a member. That's what you taught us those days while we are preparing for ICAN. The first question is from Awe, and is trying to know the difference between Chief Accounting Officer, CFO, and CEO. That is the differences between CAO, Chief Accounting Officer, CFO, Chief Finance Officer, and the Chief Executive Officer, CEO. Also is OB asking the difference between professional accountant in practice and professional accountant in business. He's saying that your explanation seems to dwell more on professional accountants in business. And finally, Fakunle wants to have understanding of the role, the difference between the role of CFO and the AGM finance. So please help us digitalize the response and group the account for presentation.
The third question, can you go back to the third question again?
The difference in the role of CFO and the AGM finance.
All right. Okay, I'm going to start with the question of our difference between the Chief Accounting Officer, Chief Finance Officer, and the Chief Executive Officer. Now, the terminology Chief Accounting Officer is mostly used in the public sector settings, right? And when I mean public sector setting, you can have an agency, you can have a department, ministries will always have the head of that ministry being the commissioner of that particular ministry, all right? But when you have agencies and departments, the heads of those agencies and departments will refer to them as the Chief Accounting Officer. All right. So not the term accounting officer is not referring to someone taking the role of the accountant. No, the individual that takes the responsibility for that agency is being referred to as the Chief Accounting Officer. All right. So we can look at that as synonymous to Chief Executive Officer in the private sector. So if I have Chief Accounting Officer in the public sector agency, then it's the corollary to it in the private sector is the CEO, the individual that takes full responsibility for the entire entity or for the entire agencies. While the CFO is what we actually dwelt on, the individual that takes responsibility for the finance role and other ancillary roles related to finance. The other is the difference between professional accountants in practice and professional accountants in business. I dwell so much on professional accountants in business, because they are considered as advisors, they're considered as consultants, they're considered as employees, all right? They're considered as directors of finance in those respective agencies. But professional accountants in practice are individuals that have gone through the experience of auditing. They've applied to ICAN, and ICAN has certified them and issued them with a license to practice as an auditor. All right. So those auditors are those we refer to as professional accountants in practice. All right. So that's the difference. So if you are an auditor or you have an audit firm, you are a professional accountant in practice. But if you are an accountant in a company, or you are a consultant, then you are referred to as professional accountants in business. Now, difference between the role of CFO and AGM finance. Well, it depends on the scope that the employer or the organization has set out for the individuals filling those roles. In some organizations, the guy that is acting as the AGM finance can also be doubled as, or can also use the terminology as the CFO. So you can be AGM finance in name, but in function, you are carrying out the job of a CFO. All right. So it depends on the nomenclature that the organization has lined out for that individual that takes that role. So the CFO can be synonymous to the AGM finance. It depends on the organization. There's no specific distinction in terms of roles and responsibilities between them. It is just a name. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dec2022. And it's been a quality and qualitative time. If I must say, I've gone through the chat and people are actually taking this as value addition, even to the knowledge that they've had before now. And I sincerely want to appreciate Chioma Ifeanyi, popularly called Chiomapreneurship, and our own Honorable Dr. Dec2022, a member of the Governing Council of our great institute and chairman of the Young Accountant Network, Young, and also the Chief Executive Officer of ADRAC Professional Services. It's been a quality time this evening. And before I round up, like I said, we are very time conscious. We've given you between the hours of 8 and 10. And these just few minutes. Let me just roll out this announcement that you will be doing injustice if you don't invite someone to like or to subscribe to this YouTube channel by tapping from it. It's an opportunity where you can sit back and have a look at some of the things we've learned today. We've spoken about technology. We've spoken about career development. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can go over and over to have an insight too. To some of our members who have made requests for the presentation because the screen of the second paper presenter was really not too visible, that will liaise with the organizer. It's part of the mentoring process, which we will definitely in turn get back to you. So I want to state here that this program will be coming up again in January with another wonderful, insightful topic. They have, let me say, given the commitment on their part to make it a monthly affair where they are going to give insight to people, you know, on how to go about their thing in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of technology, and in terms of their career development. That is what we all need, so that if this is achieved, you and I, we have that freedom to make sure that we comply with some of the things that is expected to us, to our institute. And what is that? Paying your subscription as at when due and as at when it is. It is when you are fulfilled, when you have more than enough with you, that you can do that. And I believe there's a lot that you have gained from the technological aspect of it today. Be a digital accountant and do things differently. Do things differently. And as a career person, make sure that you have the ethical things with you, embedded in you. Do not compromise, because it's about your future. Remember some of the core values of our institute that speaks to your integrity, objectivity, your due care, your independency, and accuracy. These are the core things that is expected of us. On that note, I'm winding up the program for the first episode for the month of December. To see you again, God willing, in the year 2023, when we'll be launching. Okay?
Comments.
Okay.
Yeah,
let me yield the floor to you, Dr.
Comments, please. All right.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. For our participants, of our mentees, I need to let you know that this program, you're attending this program, qualifies you for ICAN MCPD credits. So you remember when you're doing your registration, you also register with your membership number. Chama, can you confirm if they register with a membership number?
Yes, they did register with their membership numbers.
Oh, great. So that implies that we can apply for MCPDs from ICAN for you. So you can say that it's not just the technical part you're taking, you're also getting the benefits from the MCP to fulfill your required credit hours for attending this program. So next month, we're going to have other fantastic mentors that will also try and guide by next month. All right, Cheson, back to you.
And that I can say, Dr. Didian Chioma, that you are not just imparting us. Again, you are enriching us by making sure that we have good MCPD at the end of the day to fulfill that which the Institute has actually. We give kudos to you and we appreciate you for that. So to all our participants, our mentees, I want to state here today that invite someone, not just only to come and have the basic knowledge that he needs to enrich he or herself with, but also to have a plus to his MCPD credit hour. And on that note, like you've heard from Dr. Deji and Chioma, we will be coming again next month. And I can assure you, don't let me let the cat out of the bag. Mentors are here to impact your life. And remember the slogan for those of us on the street, that follow the person that knows the road. You know, hear me? Follow person we know the road. The thing that we need as professionals is to enrich our knowledge base. And with that, we'll just blow. And people will know that indeed a professional accountant, a chartered accountant is out there. Not just a chartered accountant alone, but a digital accountant that is doing things differently. On that note, we have come to the end of the first episode of the ICAN and Highflyer mentoring program, the first edition of it. To see you again next the month of January in the year 2023. On that note, I say Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Bye for now.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.